What is your name and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Gregory Gilmore, and I was the voice of Alex on MTV Downtown.
Nice.
So,
How did you land the iconic role of Alex on Downtown?
yeah, for me, it was a pretty basic audition process. I was going to SUNY Purchase. It was the summer after my freshman year at SUNY Purchase. I was in the drama studies program, and I previously attended LaGuardia High School in Manhattan. So I was pursuing acting, had an agent at the time, and was just going on auditions. I was still going to school, but trying to go on auditions, winter break, summer break, stuff like that. Downtown was just another audition that came up. So I wasn't part of the whole interview process that you've been hearing about. They found a lot of great, ridiculously talented and amazing people through that process, but I'm guessing they just couldn't fill every role that way. So I guess they were reaching out to agencies or something. I imagine that's what it was. I was auditioning, but it was my first voiceover audition. And my agent, she gave me some lines to read and said it was just over the phone. So I was like, great, I don't have to trudge into the city and look for some obscure address and sit with 20 other, people that are better looking versions of me. Like, this is great. I'll just call it from my house. So I went ahead and called. And, like I said, I had a couple of lines to read. I don't remember the whole thing, but I do remember the last line, which was, it was, I'm such a loser sometimes. So,
You really have the same voice and it's really cool. It's like surreal to hear, you know? It's really,
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. Well, it's been a while, right? I guess sounding like Alex after all these years isn't the worst thing, right?
It's
So,
amazing. It's honestly really amazing.
but yeah, yeah. So, somebody at MTV heard that and said, that sounds like a loser. So
Oh no, definitely not. No.
that could be our loser. We don't know. But they wound up bringing me in and I met everybody. Chris was there, a couple of producers, so forth. And they're explaining the show. They're talking about how it's, based on real life interviews and the whole time they're explaining it, I'm looking down, they have like the character drawings. You may have seen those online of the character and I'm looking at
Yeah.
Alex, looking back up at me, and I'm just kind of like, huh. And it's I don't know if anyone was thinking it, but it was our voice director, Ben McCrae. While everyone was talking, he just kind of looks up and he's just kind of like, he looks like you. And everyone behind the table is just kind of like, yeah, yeah, he really does. He kind of looks like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that felt good, and they put me in the booth and they're explaining a little bit more. I was just by myself and they were having me read like the first scene in episode one with Alex and Jen. So they're explaining that. They're saying that Alex is obsessed with a goth girl, and so forth. And, I had actually dated a goth girl my senior year of high school
Interesting. Wow.
and all through that summer. I know.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I figured, well, if they like that I kind of look like them, they're gonna love this, right?
Mhm.
So I just kind of threw it out there casually, It's just kind of like, oh yeah, yeah, I had a gothic girlfriend, And
Nice.
again, they're all like, "Oh my God, you had a gothic girlfriend." Well, meow meow meow. Can you believe that? And it's voiceover, right? So it
Mhm.
doesn't really matter, just based on what the show is. I'm sure they were glad that someone that seems like Alex walks in the room, and I think it just gave me a little confidence in terms of moving forward with everything. Gothic girlfriends and looking a bit like Alex aside, uh, you could tell right from the start that what they were really looking for were people who could match that authentic, true to life, conversational structure that Chaka and Mecca, it seems like the whole show kind of stems from that,
Right. Mhm.
their kind of relationship, or at least where they were starting in the process. The process they took us through was basically what we were doing once we started recording. So right away, I get in the booth and they're like, go through it once, but if you feel like anything needs to be changed, you want to add your own words, do this, do that, go right ahead. And I was like, wow, that's certainly different than most auditions I've been on. And then, when they finally started pairing us up, they were bringing in gens. I that audition went well. They brought me in a couple more times. I'm working with different gens, and there's a couple of different Alexes there and so forth. But I could definitely tell there was a big difference when they finally put me in the booth with Tammy. Um, Whatever it was, whatever they wanted us to do to get that vibe going, I really feel like I was trying as the auditions went on, but when they put us in the booth together, I felt like she just jumped right out there. Like she would just say anything. And I felt like I was doing okay, but when she started going, I was just like, whoa, I better keep up here.
Mhm.
Because she's really going for it. And I jumped out there with her, and we just started going back and forth and getting these good volleys going. And it was some of the script and interweaving through the script and a little asides and this and that. And you could feel, and you could just feel it change. You could feel the energy
Right.
change. It felt really good. I felt a big difference almost immediately. Like as soon as we were done with that audition, I was like, huh, that's different than what we were doing.
Mhm.
And it just takes a real generous atmosphere to
Right.
to get that level of realism. Usually you have a writer, they want their words being said, is usually how it goes. And the same thing with directors, so on and so forth. But they were encouraging right from the start, and also with actors, we were all first time. I'd never done voiceover. I don't think anyone else had either, if they'd even acted before. So, to get that feel for the dialogue, we're stomping all over each other's lines where it's not the norm.
Mhm.
Obviously, you don't see it very much. But what we were doing, you could see that everybody was kind of aiming for something more true and more authentic. And definitely, like I said, that's the standard that was set by Chaka and Mecca, Leora and Aurora, of course. That's pretty much how it went. And before I knew it, I was cast and we were moving along, and I was Alex. So
And the rest is history.
the rest is history,
Right.
indeed. Indeed.
So the next question is, what was your favorite aspect about voicing Alex?
It's funny. I just said that, he kind of looks like me and so on and so forth, and I hadn't done any voiceover before. So I think my favorite part of it was that Alex seemed like a role that I could play. If it was live action, it feels like I probably, could have embodied that character
Yeah.
pretty easily. So that certainly made it easier in terms of recording. And I just liked that fact. It was almost like it was me on the cartoon.
Mhm.
It was it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I really enjoyed that it was that it seemed so much like me, and like a role I could play.
So now we have our first fan question. So
Ooh.
at Valentina asks,
Uh,
what do you think an Alex of your age now would act like? Would he be a lunatic with an extensive action figure collection and dozens of reptiles?
Hi, Valentina. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thanks for watching, of course. Thanks for being a fan. Reptiles? Did you say reptiles?
Reptiles, yeah.
When I don't know why you'd have a bunch of reptiles.
Yeah, I was a bit confused on that one too.
I feel like when the show came out, I don't know that quote unquote nerd culture was as big as it is now.
Mhm.
I think we're definitely in a time where maybe people are embracing their inner child a little more. So I think Alex would be into a lot of the same things, and I don't think it would be as weird as it was back then.
Right.
You know, I'm sure he'd have a shelf of, Lego Star Wars, something
Yeah.
like that. I'm sure he wouldn't be above that, or maybe even have a Lego Death Star and
Mhm.
have one that he built and have one that he keeps in the box somewhere to sell later on, or
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
something like that. And sure, I guess he would have some lizards. Why not?
Yeah.
What's wrong with a couple of lizards? But
Yeah.
but thank you. That was a great question.
Okay, next one. At Dr. Barda asks, did the show use any of your own life experiences?
Huh. So like I said before, I wasn't part of the interview process, but you see so many parallels to most people's lives and things that happen to them. Chris brought up that Leora thought he was spying on her for before and
Mhm.
after
Yeah.
episode 11. And for me, it's like he has a obsession with a goth girl, and I dated a goth girl. So nothing actually specific.
Mhm.
I think what was funny, that first scene, and I think you can actually find the script to the first scene online. If you look, I might even have a link if someone wants to. But if you look at that scene, all Jen is supposed to say is like, you got a bowl of gravy for us. We got a bowl of gravy to dip the fries in, and so forth. And for some reason, Tammy she just jumps out with, I don't know where you came up with that. I don't know what kind of bizarre. And I think it was during the read through, and it just kind of popped in my head. I think it was like our first or second date with the goth girl I dated. I don't know what we were talking about, but she threw out that little factoid that people use gravy on French fries in Europe. So and I just jump right out with, oh, they do that in Europe, and we just go back and forth for a bit. But again, that's just something that literally came from my life. So I guess anything that we added after the show, after we were recording, definitely does, come from a real place for sure.
I think that's really cool. It adds a lot of authenticity, right, to the show.
Yeah, yeah, they just anytime. They just said anytime to go right ahead and throw anything out there. And even if they didn't use, they probably used like 90% of the script. It's not like it was just constant improv, but all of they were having us do that for every take, and all the improv we did, even if it wasn't used, just kept feeding into the energy and the chemistry to the point where you couldn't tell where the script ended and
Yeah.
the improv began,
Yeah.
So really, yeah, definitely a lot of it definitely came from real life experiences
Mhm.
for sure.
So next question is at DMoney785 asks, what was your favorite episode during the show's run?
Favorite episode. D Money, what was it?
DMoney785.
D Money 785. Thank you for your question. It's a great question because it's very, very hard for me to pick a favorite episode. I guess I'd really have to say I guess my favorite, the one I'm most proud of would be Insomnia,
Mhm. Yes.
episode 4.
Yes.
It was they had said all along that Alex has some obsession with a goth girl, and I should have seen this coming, that they'd try to get them together somehow. It just didn't seem, when they finally handed me the script and it had to be like a romantical kind of thing.
Mhm.
I just felt a lot of pressure to deliver on that and make sure it was a good episode. So I'm proud of the way that one turned out for sure.
Mhm.
And I think it, definitely opened up new things for the show, definitely pushed the show forward
Mhm.
at that time. So yeah, definitely that one. I mean, just about every other episode is a runner-up, I mean,
Mhm.
I can't pick one that I don't like, but that would be the one I'm personally most proud of. So you
Nice.
seem to like that one.
Yes, I love that one. That's my favorite. It's definitely my favorite. Yeah.
Did you say that was like the first one you saw, or?
So it was the first one that really like just pulled me in because like I was watching it, and once that episode came up with like him having insomnia and just like it really being focused on Alex, I just really saw myself like, kind of reflected in that episode, and it just, yeah, I just could relate a lot with him. So, yeah.
You don't see a lot of Alexes on TV, so.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely proud of that episode for sure.
Mhm.
Hey Gregory, big fan. I was wondering who your favorite character is in Downtown, if you have one.
Character. God, I love all the characters too. I know. Honestly, I guess really my favorite character would have to be Fruity, and just because he gets all the best lines. He seems like a lot of fun to play. I went to school with Marco. We both went to SUNY
Mhm.
Purchase, and yeah, it just seemed like a lot of fun. I like the way Marco played him too. He's kind of like a wannabe player, but he has these moments where you can see he has a heart too. And I just really love the way Marco played him. And like I said, if you're quoting the show, you're probably quoting Fruity at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could say that's a favorite for sure.
Mhm.
Not just because we went to school together, just character.
Yeah. All right. At PYU Jetto asks, did downtown impact your life in any way, or was it just another gig at the time?
Well, It came and went pretty quickly. If you didn't see it when it came out, or even if you did see it when it came out, it was what, maybe 3 months from August to the end of September. It all happened pretty fast, you know. So it was certainly fun to do at the time, and God, it took so long. We recorded for almost a year, and then we had the cast party at CBGB. That was a great time. Watched the first episode. I had to sit there while everyone cheered while Alex goes into the bathroom with his picture. And I remember afterwards we went out and spun the cube, which
Mhm.
was a lot of fun. Which I guess is back. The cube, you can spin the cube
Yeah,
again
it's still
here.
there. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I guess that had stopped for a while, or it stopped working. So
Yeah, yeah, like they had it so that you couldn't move it. It was such a shame, but you can spin it now, which is cool.
yeah, yeah, what
Yeah,
a bummer. I was just
yeah,
looking that up the other day. I was like, oh, good, you can spin it again. That's awesome.
yeah.
Go spin the cube if you have a chance, because
Yes.
you never know when it's gonna stop.
Yeah.
It'll go away or whatever. But yeah, as far as impacting my life, it was a great time. And like I said, I went to school with Marco, and Pseudo Purchase was a great school. There's like no fraternities there. It doesn't have that energy. It's mostly an art school, but mixed in with liberal arts. So you had just a great community. And Marco was very popular for all the right reasons. You saw the interview. You can like it's hard not to love Marco. And it's he kind of whenever somebody mentioned the show, it was always like, oh, that show that Marco's in. And to be honest, I was like totally fine with that. I was just like, yeah, 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 that show that Marco's in. That's good. That's great. And, so I was glad he was there to like both, promote the show or be the face of the show and kind of take the pressure off of me as far as walking around campus and things like that. But yeah, the show, as far as impacting everything, I guess the only thing now that I can think of, it's been a long time, Anyone that's new to the show doesn't may not really appreciate how long it's been since the show came out. So for me, just I don't know if I'm ever down or anything like that. It's always a comfort to think, like, well, at least I was Alex from downtown. I did, I did
Yeah.
do something, But yeah, like I said, it came and went pretty quickly. I don't even think I think I found out the show was because I had this agent and was kind of going through her for everything that was going on with the show. So I think I actually found out from Marco that the show wasn't gonna continue.
Yeah.
I just saw him on campus and he was like, "Yeah, show's over. Here's the last episode that didn't air." Like I got the last episode from
Mhm.
Marco. But yeah, like I said, it came and went pretty quickly, which is a
Yeah.
shame, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, great, certainly a great time.
Hello, Gregory. My name is Trey Riffle, and my question for you is, what do you think Alex would be into in 2025?
What would Alex? Well, hi Trey. Thank you for your question. He'd probably, I mean, I probably picture him as still a pretty big gamer. Probably into online gaming for sure. Maybe still even World of Warcraft. I don't know if anyone's still playing that
Yeah.
or whatever's big
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. I'm sure he'd have a whole clan with the crew with Ron and Wedge and everybody.
Yeah.
So definitely into that, and I'm sure he'd mark his calendar down for Comic-Con and see if he can get out there, All the
Yeah.
regular nerd stuff, showing up to the Marvel premieres and
Hmm.
and things
Yeah.
like that.
Definitely.
I imagine that's pretty much what he'd be into.
Hi, my name is Imara. My question for you today is, were there any scenes or episodes that were fun or challenging to record?
Fun or challenging? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your question. Fun. It was fun. It was fun to do. It was right in the beginning of Night Shift. Alex is kind of stalking Serena, and he's doing like kind of a noir thing,
Mhm.
So it was kind of fun to be like noir Alex for a little bit there. That was fun. Challenging. Well, I guess, if you go to Limo, that episode, they kind of have Alex and Jen kind of, simulating, yeah, or, making sounds like they're getting down to business, and that was interesting to try to recreate in studio for sure. They kept saying like more and more and more until I feel like I was just screaming like I was on a roller coaster or something. I was like, is this is this enough? I don't. I think
Yeah.
they're finally just like, okay, okay, that's enough. That's good. We got it. So yeah, yeah, that would be fun thing, challenging thing. But everything, the whole show was a blast to do. It was always felt comfortable and supported, doing the show.
At Eileen asks, what do you think makes the show resonate with fans even after all these years?
At Eileen, hi, hi. What makes the show resonate with fans after all this time? I've been wondering that myself because it's funny, for years after the show went on, I try to mention it here and there, but I just kind of got sick of getting blank stares from people, you know. Um, Even when the show, it's on YouTube, that channel that I'm sure everybody watches it on, that came out like what, 2014? And I remember being excited and going on and checking it out, and didn't seem like it was getting many views, maybe like 10 or 11 comments, whereas now you go on, there's like 1,500 comments, So, and then I was at a birthday party with my girlfriend. It was her birthday, and we're just kind of hanging out, and this happens so rarely, like almost never, but someone just pops their head up and they're just like, "Hey, I saw Downtown."
Mm.
And I'm just like, "Really? You're kidding?" No, doesn't seem like anybody's seen Downtown. So I kind of got an inkling. That was August of 2023. So I kind of got an inkling that something was going on. And then, early 2024, I see that just came across. I was like, oh my God, there's interviews with Marco and Aurora. And and realized that it was, starting to getting a little bit of a following, wherever it's coming from, TikTok, so forth. Why does it resonate now? I think it's because people are finally nostalgic for the 90s.
Mhm.
You're really seeing 90s nostalgia ramp up.
Mhm.
And I guess it's hard to time these things, or it felt like you could back in the day. Like I think of Happy Days was like made in the 70s, and it was about like, late 50s. It was about the late 50s and early 60s.
Mhm.
You look at the 90s and you have like Dazed and Confused, you have that 70s show,
Mhm.
which was
Yeah.
about the 70s. And here you have Downtown, or and even like 2014. I guess there's shows, I think there's a show called That 80s Show, That 90s Show.
Mhm.
I guess it wasn't, didn't find an audience like the way that 70s show did.
Mhm.
But if you think about the 80s, the nostalgic 80s show
Mhm.
would probably be Stranger Things.
Mhm.
If I had to think of a nostalgic 80s show, that would be the one.
Mhm.
And that was only coming out in 2014.
Mhm.
So I think right now, 2024, 2025 seems like people are nostalgic for, that time period
Mhm.
and finding Downtown,
Mhm.
and downtown's not going to find you. You you have to go out and find Downtown.
Mhm.
And people are, so I think that's part of it. You're just seeing 90s styles come back, like baggy clothes and things like that, baggy jeans, and people are seeing Downtown and like, what is this? And for a lot of people, it's a brand new show for them. Like shout out to our OG Downtown fans, like.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but there's a lot of new fans out there who, are just coming to the show for the first time, saying, "What is
Yeah.
this?" It's filling that need, I think.
Yeah, I think I really like that thing you said. That's a really good quote. Like downtown, you're not gonna find downtown. Downtown's gonna find you. Like
Yeah.
that's such a good quote
Well,
because
Downtown's not going to find you. You have to find
well,
Downtown.
yeah. Because I think that's exactly what happened, right? It like when I came across it, it's like
Right.
I like it wasn't recommended to me. Like I had to go out to look for something like that, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely. It's such a good quote. Like
Mhm.
wow, yeah.
That's I feel like that's what's happening, and it's great that people are resonating with it. It's
Mhm.
it's really great to see, surprising, but also just really really awesome.
At Illumi_Twinkle88 asks, if Downtown were to continue any longer, who would you prefer Alex ending up with, Serena or Jen?
Man, that's quite a question. Thank you. That's a big one for sure. Who would I prefer them to see? I think, and I don't, not to totally dodge the question, but I feel like if Alex and Jen were to get together now, like
Mhm.
at whatever point they are in the show, I think they might be a little too codependent. I don't know if they've branched out enough to really get into a relationship right now. Which is what I think the limo episode kind of highlights. It's not something, I don't know if it's something that, because I think they would be so good together that you'd really need some like emotional maturity for that level of relationship. I do think in the short term, I think Alex and Serena could certainly be good for each other.
Mhm.
That last episode, Alex gets, I guess he gets a little flack for that episode for for screwing up and so forth. But I'm at least proud of him for taking the chance and getting out there and actually asking her out. I think there's still a chance for them.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think Alex and Jen make a little more sense for sure.
Yeah, 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 definitely, yeah. And
Mhm.
also with Jen, like I feel like I'm one of the few because she's very divisive, like among the community. Like there's either
Yeah.
like you either like her or you don't. And I'm on the side of like I kind of do like her because I think she's like that friend where it's like you can see what's like sort of like the flaws, but it's at the same time it's like you can learn from it and in
Hmm.
a way that's not so bad. And she I can definitely sense that like Alex bounces off of her, like they kind of like balance each other out
Yeah.
in a way. So yeah, I think they would have ended up it would have made more sense, with him and
Hmm.
Jen. So
Hmm. For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Can you share any hidden details or Easter eggs about the show?
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I have my dad clipped it out when it premiered. It's the TV guide write up for Downtown. So I'm gonna throw that up on Instagram. I guess we can put a link
Mhm.
at the bottom of the video. So if you want to check that out, you can get on Instagram and check that out. I guess that's a piece of lost media. Um, but yeah, I have that, and that's pretty much it as far as Easter eggs. I think
Mhm.
that would be a fun thing to share with everybody. So
Mhm.
look for that. You know.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Next one is if you could change or add anything to the show, what would it be and why?
Um, hmm. You heard Chris talk about how he wishes the script was shorter
Hmm.
so that there was more room for more of the improv and so forth that we did.
Hmm.
I almost wonder. I don't know if Downtown could hold up to an hour long format, but today's days of streaming, you'll see episodes come out. They don't all have the same runtime.
Hmm.
They don't have to fit a time slot.
Hmm.
So if there's anything I could just hypothetically add is keep the whole script and add as much as you can. Just have slightly longer episodes. So that you don't have to pack it all in so tightly and who wouldn't want more downtown, right?
Right. Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, but as far as the way the show is, I mean, I think there's nothing I would change. I think it's all great. There's
Hmm.
there's nothing I would do really.
Yeah, I agree. I think like definitely I know that Chris's like original vision was just to have it sort of like, like the dialogue is just improv the whole time, but
Mhm.
he kind of got pushed back where it's like no, but it needs a storyline, because it's going to be on like TV and stuff. But I
Right.
think you guys you pulled it off so well because like you mentioned before, there's like you can't really tell what's part of the script and then also what's just free flow dialogue. Like you guys pulled that off so well. I think you guys did a remarkable job
Thank
because
you. Thank
honestly,
you.
as you're
Yeah.
watching it, it flows so well. You know what I mean? You guys did
Hmm.
an amazing job on that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And it's another thing I think people resonate with, and
Hmm.
it's kind of rare.
Yeah.
I always see people on message boards, Reddit, this and that, saying shows like Downtown. Do you know? Yeah, recommendations for
Yeah.
shows like Downtown. Everything that Downtown put together, the performances and the animation and the music and everything else.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I agree. All right. Would you be open to reprising your role as Alex in a revival of MTV's Downtown?
uh, would I be? Well, sure, sure. I certainly would. Um, I don't think that's the main hurdle as far as getting some sort of revival of downtown though. I feel like I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's probably it's highly improbable. But some of the major hurdles are the people we've lost.
Hmm.
We don't have Leora, we don't have Scott. Uh, Leora was literally Chaka,
Hmm.
and Scott was literally GOAT.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna move on, I don't know. I don't know that I'm qualified to make decisions on you recast those roles or if you just do something that's a touching tribute
Hmm.
within the show.
Hmm.
I'm not sure just how you handle that. The other big thing is, I just don't know. I don't know if I can see, whoever would put the show out. I don't know if they'd want to move ahead without having the rights to stream or distribute the first season. And of
Hmm.
course, the major hurdle to that is all the music that gets used in Downtown.
Right.
I just don't know how all that works.
Hmm.
I don't know how you would get those rights, or, I would hate to see a version of Downtown without the music.
Hmm.
I think it's so integral and so woven into the show that it would be very hard to just put that out, a
Hmm.
different version or without the music completely. I don't know what exactly you would do. But I would imagine anyone who would want to do another season would want to be able to do that. I really don't know, but there's major hurdles, and I don't know if it'll ever go there. As far as when the show was made, I feel like the on the street interviews, those are for that time period. I think that they're, of course, absolutely essential to the show.
Hmm.
They're the reason you can make a show about the 90s right in the middle of the 90s,
Hmm.
I don't know that that's as essential now. Like we have the benefit of foresight of hindsight.
Hmm.
You can go back, you have people that remember that time, So I'm sure there's still plenty of stories from 90s New York to tell, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that remember that. So it's not necessarily a case of, if you were going to go out and do street interviews now, it would be for a show about now.
Hmm.
But now I'm sure you have plenty of people out there who, have stories about New York City in the 90s. I'm sure there's just thousands of things about that time period that you could reach out to people and get, fill that nostalgia void that people are looking for
Hmm.
with downtown. But like I said, there's a lot of hurdles, so I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if you'll ever see it, but if
Hopefully.
it did and it was right, even if Alex is just a side character, or however it worked out, sure, I'd absolutely be open to reprising my role.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, yeah, you just never know what'll happen. But, I wouldn't hold out a whole lot of hope for it.
Mm.
Just put it that way.
So now's your opportunity to give shout outs, share anything you've been working on, life updates, or anything else that's been on your mind recently.
The main thing on my mind, at this time is, I live in California, and we just had these wildfires that absolutely, decimated
Hmm.
certain areas, Altadena and the Palisades. I do have a buddy who, completely lost his living space
Hmm.
entirely, and he's living in FEMA hotels right now. He has a GoFundMe up, if
Hmm.
anyone's still looking to donate a little something. If you're out there and you're looking to donate somewhere, it would be, this is a real person. It's not, a faceless
Hmm.
organization or anything like that, So if you can help, if you feel like you can help, then that would really be great to
Yeah.
help out.
Well, thank you so much, Gregory, for this interview. It
Cool, thank you.
was really, really nice and very interesting. Thank you so much.
Cool, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. And thanks to everyone else. Thank you. Everyone who submitted questions and everything. Yeah, this has been really great. So really appreciate it.